Hey guys, it's Edison. I just got back my PSA order that I did through Ludkins. If you don't know what Ludkins is, just like a quick overview, they are a third-party company that kind of middlemans your PSA or CGC order. I use them for PSA just because it's a little bit cheaper. These cards got graded Express PSA. If you did that on your own, I think I was getting quoted at $75, but with Ludkins, it was $60 for Express. I predominantly use them just for PSA, as I said, and I'll use like my own submission form for CGC. Okay, so I know what cards I got back. This is something I mentioned that I was doing in a previous video, that I was cross-grading some cards from CGC to PSA to see how the grades kind of held up. So I'll show that in this sub. And I do know the grades, so we can quickly go through it. So the first one I got back here is, actually let me add a little bit of suspense. Here we have a PSA 10 in the Charizard V from the Elite Trainer box. I mean, I don't know if this is a strong 10 or like a weak 10. This is one of the reasons I like subgrades, but all I know is it's a 10. I am curious how this compares to the CGC 9 that I got back. I might want to do like a, comparative scans like I did for previous cards that I got 10s in. And I will say, if you look right there, there is a black like dot under the slab, which isn't great. And the card looks like there's a decent amount of room up there if you look. I don't know like the exact measurement, but you could tell that there's wiggle room between the card and the thing that's supposed to hold it at the top. Yeah, PSA 10, you can't really go wrong. I think this is a card that will do well long-term. Just short-term, there's just so many on the market. Next up, probably the same thing, yeah. Another PSA 10 in the Charizard V, same promo from the Elite Trainer box. There we go. And as I said, this is like a card that I got a CGC 9 in. I am curious how the CGC 9 and the PSA 10 look like comparatively on the scans themselves. Because it just seems like, from what a lot of people are telling me, like, oh, the grading is inconsistent. Oh, actually, I just noticed this too. Look at that right there on the card. You can kind of see the worst part, which is like that white dot, but there's like an actual blemish on the card, I think, that got stuck from like after the case was sealed. There's like a little bit of a nick. I don't know what that is. It's like a dot or smudge on the card under the case, or on the case like sealed. So I mean, that's not a great look, to be honest. Like two of the cards that I got back from PSA, I'm noticing like issues with the case itself that kind of detract from how the card looks. Next up, let's see. Nice, so this is the Hyper Rare Mewtwo from Shining Legends. Mewtwo GX from Shining Legends, I suppose. This is really nice artwork. Secret Rare, this is the same artwork that they took over for the Hidden Fates Mewtwo GX. This is like one of the second most, I think this is the second most expensive card in in Shining Legends. I got this graded. The centering was really off is what I noticed, so I didn't want to risk this getting sent to CGC. I just knew that the centering would absolutely kind of wreck this grade. So I decided to send it to PSA instead to test my luck. Oh, sorry. And I did end up getting a 9, so I'm still happy with the 9s. And we have 2 cards left from Ludkins. These are cards that I was excited for. These are the 2 cards that I cross-graded. So I actually am gonna move these other PSA subs back. All right, so from CGC, I received a CGC 9 in a Mewtwo GX. This is the test tube Mewtwo, the one where it's like Mewtwo inside of like the science lab in the test tube. Sometimes people call it Mewtwo. It's a very popular artwork from the set, and it's probably like the main chase card you get from Shining Legends. One was a CGC 9, and the other was a CGC 8. And we see this one got docked 7.5 on surface. That's from like the white speckles on the back of the card. So this first one on the back, we can see that it has white dotting all throughout. Like at the top here, there's a little bit. I will say this card isn't as bad. It's on the whole card. There's that white dotting, which is pretty common for Shining Legends from what I've noticed, but it's a lot more sparse and kind of distributed around the card. I've had some versions though that I've packed where it's heavy concentration in certain areas, but this one seems pretty spread out. This one got a PSA 9. Actually, I know the grades. I don't know where I'm covering them. PSA 9 in this one. So this is the one that I believe was a CGC 8. I should preface it. So my CGC 8 crossed up to a PSA 9 I think that this one moved up mostly because if we look, CGC dock the surface really hard. So I think their like notion for surface is how this back, how the back widening is. CGC just seems to like, if it even has a little bit of this widening on the back, I think they drop it to a 7.5 on surface. So like the highest you'll get in CGC Mewtube with this stuff is an 8. So PSA doesn't seem to have valued that as toughly, for better or worse. So this was actually able to cross over to that PSA 9. And I will say conversely, this one was the CGC 9 beforehand. And if we look on the back, this one was so clean. I didn't see any widening on the back. This one got a really strong surface from PSA. Like this one got docked from CGC for centering and surface, but that surface I believe is just because like it's a full body texture, so it could have had issues there. But yeah, this one stayed as a PSA 9, so it didn't even move up in grade at all. It just stayed consistent. A little disappointed. I was really banking on this one probably trying to cross over to that PSA 10. But overall, like, I'm happy with how this turned out. I do lose a little bit of money because of like the cost of cross grading to PSA at this time. But I wanted to kind of prove to myself like, oh, you know, which company really does have like the tougher grading, or see what they're valuing. So if in the future I end up buying more of this card, or I pack more, I'll kind of have like a direction of where to go in submitting. And I do think this is an important note that CGC seems to be a lot tougher on how they weigh centering and surface damage being those white dots. So that's just something to have in mind. If you have cards like this, you might end up feeling that you should send them the PSA if you do value a higher grade more. And I say that 9 times out of 10, that higher grade does matter. Not just for like, you know, monetary value, but just for collection value. It would feel a lot nicer to have that 9 instead of having that 8. All right, thanks for watching, guys. Have a nice one.